Okay, let's look at Christ's Transfiguration next. And you don't have any fill in the blanks there. Let me just tell you a little bit about it. If you want to turn to Matthew 17, that's where it's recorded, among other places that discuss what happened. But basically, Christ's Transfiguration, that's the fourth key day of his life, of the 7 key days that surround his work on earth for us. His Transfiguration is, as I said before, when Christ lets his glory shine out. Now, when I think of the Transfiguration, I think of the exact opposite for me, and perhaps for you too. His Transfiguration is kind of like the tea bag illustration. When, you know how you take a tea bag on the string and you kind of go like this in the hot water, and the more you do it, the darker the water gets, because, in fact, with one of my children, I surprised him. I held up the tea bag, which is white. I said, watch this. Clear water, white tea bag, and I went like this. And then your eyes got big, the darker it got. And he said, how does that work? I said, it's just like you a couple minutes ago when someone took your toy away from you. What was inside of you came out in the heat of the moment. And what we need to work on is what's inside of the tea bag of our life when things get hot. That's why God sends trials all the time. He wants us to see what happens when someone dies, or when we lose our job, or when we lose our health, or when something we were really counting on falls through, someone we were really counting on. And when that happens, what comes out of our life shows what's inside. What was inside of Jesus Christ? Matthew 17. Jesus Christ was filled with glory. And it says that he was, verse 2 of Matthew 17, he was transfigured before them. His face shone like the sun. That's what Revelation 1 says. The face of Jesus is like the sun in all of its glory. And his garments became as white as light. Now that's white. Can you imagine the incandescent, iridescent, just glowing his garments? And what it was is, it wasn't that he put on some fancy clothes. What it was is his divinity, his deity, was for a moment allowed to come out. And you know what it says in the Bible? When we shall see him, what does it say? We'll be like him, for we'll see him as he is. Did you know that's our heritage? All of us are going to, it says in Daniel 12, we're going to shine like the stars forever. Have you ever thought about that that's what we're going to be like? Because we're going to be like Christ. He wants to refine out that stuff from the tea bag that's not good in our life. When we get dunked in hard times, I hope that we'll think about the glory of Christ, and we'll think about what came out and how he wants to cause his glory to shine forth out of our life, and how he wants us to 2 Corinthians 3:18, to have an open face and behold his glory in this book, and to let him make our lives glow. Remember Moses went up in the mountain, spent 40 days up in the mountain with God. When he came down, his face glowed. Do you remember that? It was just being in God's presence. It permeated him like radiation, and the glory of God emanated from him. In a real sense, that's exactly what the Lord's trying to do every day in our life with this book. Now, earlier in the temptation, I was telling you that you need to get nourishment from the Bible. We also need to get a little bit of the glory from this book. We need to get a little more of the reflected glory of Jesus Christ. Do you remember when the disciples were roughed up by the Sanhedrin, and they pulled them in and roughed them up, and then they tossed them out for a while and talked about them? Do you remember what they said? It says they took note of those men that they had been what? With Jesus. Did you know that's what people that come in contact with us for a brief time or a long time should just say, there's something different about them? Paul put it this way: we have the fragrance of Christ in our life. That's what his Transfiguration is all about. The glory of Christ shining forth and how he wants to shine from our lives.